Good morning, everyone. In social media world, whether it's Facebook Live, Twitter, Instagram, or whatever platform you're on, I'm very happy to come to you this morning. Lindsay Huddleston with Sports Psychology Solutions. What a night last night! Whether you were watching the Super Bowl or watching This Is Us, it was a great night. The last time we talked about buying in or piecing out. And I want to continue to promote that message. But today we're going to talk about pressure. But more importantly, the title of our talk today is Reframing Pressure. You have to reframe pressure. We look at pressure as something that is a terrible, terrible thing. But what we have to realize is that on the other side of pressure is opportunity. So with that today, I want to talk about some great things that are happening. So what I want you guys to think about, instead of surviving under pressure, I got to survive, I want you to think about thriving under pressure. That's one of my 12 rules of flow with Sports Psychology Solutions, thriving under pressure. Now, there's a great book called War, W-A-R, by Sebastian Junger. And in that, he tells the story of a Vietnam situation where there was a special teams unit, and I'm a former Marine reservist, so to all my men in military and women in military, thank you for your service. And it talks about how they were actually surrounded by the Viet Cong. They got intel that their base was going to be overrun, so you can imagine how challenging that can be. And when you want to think about it in the context, imagine being at your place or your job, and the rest of that surrounding city and even state is enemy country. So it's almost a horrible, horrible thing to look forward to. But the interesting thing about this group of men who were there training and preparing to fight for American values is that their stress level decreased when they got that information. Not increased as we would think. Their stress level decreased. And why was that? Because these weren't just thinkers, these men were doers. What they found is when they had a threat of war that was imminent, they went into their process. They went into what they knew very well. They started cleaning their ammunition. They started laying C4 wire. For all my military men and women know what that is and what that can do and the destruction it can cause. They went into their process. Now, how does this relate to sports or business? They began to practice. Yeah, that's the P word. Practice? You talking about practice? So what they found is their stress level went down when the threat was imminent because they were prepared. And their stress level went up when the threat never happened because they were ready to act. So what do I mean by that? For all of us who watched the Super Bowl last night, congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles and bringing the Super Bowl title home for the first time in 60 years. I know there's a lot of Tom Brady and Patriots fans out there. You can't deny his accomplishments and what he and Bill Belichick and the Patriots have done. Come on, Patricia, bring it here for the Lions. Let's get it done too. So let's talk about the decision the Philadelphia Eagles coach made, that 4th and 1. A 4th and 1, he went for it in the Super Bowl. Now, it worked out. They had success. But the key thing about what happened is on that 4th and 1, they later said, we practiced this play. I was confident in my players. We practiced this play. So to my coaches, to my parents, to my leaders, we have to continue to promote a culture of practicing. Because what does practice do? Practice gives you the outcome that you want. But also, what comes from practice is confidence. What comes from practice is confidence. The greatest basketball ever, Michael Jordan, said the reason he played so good and he was so confident because of the way he practiced. I know we're going back to a term that Allen Iverson and Larry Brown made popular, but it's very important that we bring this information up again and talk about it. Here's the thing. You play like you practice. You play the game like you practice. So if you're not going hard every day in practice, you can't expect to just turn it on. And so many of our young people think that. And I know it's hard because we try to tell them over and over because they may have some natural ability, but every level you go to, your natural ability is not going to save you. It's going to be that consistent work ethic over and over again. And while we're talking about work ethic, let me say this. Your success is a reflection of your work ethic. Your success is a reflection of your work ethic. So if you're going to do a self-evaluation, which I encourage all my players to do, and if you don't like where you are, if you don't like your lot in life, question your work ethic. Now, you can tell me anything, you can tell your friends anything, but you have to be honest with yourself. If you don't like where you are or what's happening, whether it's on your team, whether it's at your job, even in your relationship, question your work ethic. Are you putting in the work? Are you willing to do that? So with that, there's another announcement for the 2018 Winter Olympics. And before I even say anything about the U.S. Olympic team and USA basketball, which I'm happy to be part of that family, I want to say, as a parent, as a father of a daughter, on behalf of the victims and the Nassar situation, my heart goes out to them. So I wouldn't want to speak on the U.S. Olympics without commenting that that's a horrible situation, and I hope that those young ladies can get the support they need to be able to move on, and I hope that no one else will ever have to deal with anything like that. Many of you know my commitment to USA basketball, youth development. I've been fortunate over the last few years to travel the country and be on their speaking circuit, a great group of individuals, and I thank them for allowing me to share my message. But I want to let you know that 242 athletes have qualified for the Olympics. And of that group, the Winter Olympics, 103 are returning Olympians, so they have the Olympic experience, and 139 are first-time Olympians. And of those, there are 3 five-time Olympians. So 3 people have gone to the Olympics 5 times. So what am I getting at? There's a very interesting article that was written by Fletcher Sarkar, and what it talked about is, and I'll share it as well, a grounded theory, you can pull it up, of psychological resilience in Olympic athletes. I'll repeat that. A grounded theory of psychological resilience in Olympic athletes. So basically this study found out that what was it about Olympians that allowed them to overcome their stress? And what they found out, and I'll quote, is the Olympians said that their psychological resilience led to their optimal performance. Their psychological resilience led to their optimal performance. So let me translate. So for all my Sanford and Son aficionados, when you had Officer Smitty and Officer Hoppy come in, what does that mean? You got to go through the valley to get to the mountaintop. You got to go through the valley to get to the mountaintop. So to all of my athletes who are in these core urban areas, from Detroit to Flint to Saginaw to Chicago to LA, all over the world, you have to realize that the stressors you are experiencing now in everyday life are going to lead to your optimal performance, because Olympians of these 242 who have qualified for the Olympics, they said that the stressors gave them the edge. What our young people have to realize, and what our coaches and parents can communicate, is that no matter what your lot in life, what your childhood is like, what you're going through, there's a very good chance that your childhood is probably going to be the most stressful part of your life. Meaning, if you can overcome the stresses of your childhood, you can be a success. And what great person to point to than last night's, great performer, Brandon Graham, from the city of Detroit, University of Michigan, a father, a husband. Today is his wife's birthday. Yesterday was his daughter's birthday. But what he talked about, that him being from the city of Detroit, he experienced stressors. But you talk about that last play when he went in there and got that turnover from Tom Brady. What people don't know is he was looking at changing positions, meaning that his coaching staff came to him and asked him to come out of his comfort zone to change positions. Now, had he said then, no, I'm not changing positions, do you think there would have been an outcome? Maybe, but maybe not. So to all my young people who may be hearing this message, and coaches sharing this message, and parents passing this along, you have to be willing to come out of your comfort zone. Let's go back again to one more thing I want to mention about the 4th and 1 goal from last night. It was the confidence that the coach had in his players because of their practice. So my young people who will listen to this message, who may get this message, you have to build that confidence in your coaching staff through your practice, not your gameplay. We love to get in the game and run and do all these things, but it has to be a consistent effort all the time. So with that, I just want to say we have to reframe what pressure is. Don't always look at pressure as something that is terrible, that is horrible. On the other side of pressure, there's always opportunity. Let's say you're in a championship game. And in basketball, which is a game of runs, it always comes down to one last shot of possession. There's going to be a lot of pressure because you want to be successful and win. But guess what's on the other side of that pressure? A championship. Is it worth it? I think many would say yes. Ask the Philadelphia Eagles. So with that, I want to thank everyone for their support, everyone who's tuned in today, all my coaches out there, all my parents, all my players. And one other thing I want to share. Sports Psychology Solutions is a nonprofit. I have a vision of sharing my message throughout the world. That's why one of my favorite shows is Selling Jets, because I am going to acquire a G4 SP, which seats 14 people, which will allow me to take my message throughout the world with teams and individuals, but also keep my family close and get home. That's my motivation. That's my goal. So if you're within hearing this message and you have a sincere interest in being able to find someone that you can share this to, please reach out to me, whether it's email, whether it's through Facebook, or whether it's through my phone number, which I'm happy to post. But if you have a genuine interest, whether it's a camp coming up this summer or a team that you want me to meet with, as a nonprofit, if you have a sincere interest, we can work out a way where this message can be shared with people who can appreciate it. I just want to thank all of my followers out there, people who've been supporting me for a long time. I also want to thank everyone for the great words of encouragement when I posted the daddy-daughter dance of my boss, Madeline, and the time that we had. But I just want to be able to continue to share a message to all of you, continue to promote, hey, great things. And to close off for today's message, remember, we have to reframe pressure, okay? We're not thinking about surviving under pressure. We're thinking about thriving under pressure. So with that, I thank you all. Have a great day. Look forward to sharing some more positive things in the future. Great day to you all. Bye-bye.